Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Sewers, the Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting. It is January 11th, time approximately 6:30. Call the meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Jim Traverti, present.
Peter Dunlop, present.
Bob Scanlon, present.
Bernie Pigeon, present.
Sandy Slavin.
We are all present. First order of business is meeting minutes. We have December 4th, which was our joint meeting with Water Commissioners. May I have a motion, please?
I've just received it. I haven't had a chance to review it. So if you people have read it, then I have no comment because I just received it.
If you wish to pass on it, just,
I make a motion the meetings be accepted as presented.
motion's been, had a motion to accept as presented. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion, corrections, additions? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed. It's unread, so I cannot approve something I have not read.
Are you opposing it or
I'm
passing?
opposing it because I've not read
Okay, so
it.
it's a one against, right? 4-1. Thank you.
Oh, no.
4-1-0.
No, I was absent.
Well-
So I'm 0.
You can still vote to accept, though.
I thought if you weren't present, you couldn't vote on the minute.
It's your option. Because you could have read it, saw it on TV, whatever. How do you wish to vote? Do you wish to change your vote? I have vote.
No, go ahead, put it in 4-0.
Okay, 4-1-0.
4-1-0.
We have December 14th on the agenda, however, been advised that has been incomplete, so we'll pass on to the pending minutes. Is the November 16th. It's a workshop. WCTV is going to research their video. We seem to have misplaced ours. So the next was the Sewer Commission business.
I need to add,
Yes.
at the last meeting, the November 11th minutes were ready to be approved, but they were not included in the packet. They were included on the agenda, and we voted to pass over since it wasn't available to anybody else. We need to put the 11:30 on our agenda so we can vote on it, and it has to be included in the packet.
Was that November 11th?
November 30.
November 30. Anything else? Andy?
No.
Okay, in Sewer Commission business, we have the Wareham Housing Authority. This is the 4 additional units that they had requested a couple years ago, if I recall. Let me get to my notes here. They're requesting to be placed on the Sewer Commission January 11th meeting for the purpose of receiving your authorization to connect 4 units of community preservation affordable housing off 57 Sandwich Road, and they reference an enclosed letter. Have you all had the opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Yes.
And Bob, are you here to present? Could you step up, please, and we ask questions of you? Could you state your name, please, Bob?
Robert Powell-Latis, Chairman of the Board of Wareham Housing Authority.
And can you refresh our memories a little bit, please?
I will. First, thank you for having us and taking this up on your agenda. Several years ago, the authority found the need and found the space at Agawam Village to put 4 additional units of community preservation affordable housing. We went to the CPC board and received $650,000 that was passed at town meeting And prior to being voted on at town meeting, it was voted on by the selectmen and the FinCom, and then subsequently, this past month or so, we've gone before Conservation, Zoning Board of Appeals, and now we're here looking for your permission to hook up these 4 units. The 4 units will be compatible and consistent with what we have down there, small in size so that we'll only inhabit not more than 2 people. In the history of the units down there, there's 40 units there, and the history there is they average only 60 people, which means 1.5 person per unit, and these 4 on that same basis wouldn't hold 8, wouldn't house 8, it would probably be 6. So they would be extremely considerate of the environment and cost avoidance in terms of use of water. And we got all the water bills for the past 1 year and came up with a per unit per gallon, per unit per day gallon used at the Housing Authority of 37.9 gallons a day. So we feel that with that minimal amount of usage, this would have almost no impact on the additional flow to the sewer system.
Bob, in your original plans, was your intent to do 6 units?
I think it might have been, and then we were on the other side of the lot down on Indian Neck, so that's, you know, it's too low, it's wetlands, it's watershed and all that stuff, so now we're up on the Sandwich Road piece, just as you come in that entranceway. You come in that entranceway, there won't be an additional curb cut, and you take a left in before that first building, and it'll be in there, it's all staked out. And we've got a quote already from the excavator, land clearance and all that stuff.
What was the date of your original application? This was about 3 years ago, because before COVID, 4 years.
At least, yeah. And I remember coming to a meeting down, and I went to a meeting down at the, where your sewer plant is, and I sat through the meeting, and I had paperwork, but I wasn't on the agenda, and you kind of like adjourned, and some of yous were there, some weren't, and I told you generally what we wanted to do.
That was how long ago? Because I don't remember ever having a meeting down at the plant.
You were probably only a little girl then. You weren't, it was Donna Bronk, it was before
And I was,
Donna- it was
okay,
before Donna Bronk left, and she was the one telling me, you
And I
better get
was-
down there.
I was on there when Donna was on,
Yeah,
but
but she didn't show up to the meeting. She wasn't there. But it was, and Jackie, you can,
It wasn't an official meeting.
no, it was your meeting, but it wasn't official in terms of hearing me.
went down at the plant?
Wasn't an official meeting.
Because I
was-
couldn't find it in my notes anywhere, so, okay.
Well, what we're trying to get at, Bob, did you get an approval back then?
Not in writing,
See, because the moratorium's got our hands tied.
yeah. It what?
The moratorium has our hands tied. We can accept no additional gallons.
Bob, do you recall if you had an article on the warrant? Town meeting?
Oh, yeah, we got it approved at town meeting, the voters approved it.
Okay.
But that's the financing.
Yeah, that was for funding,
Yes,
but
I understand.
it was for these 4 units. It was for these 4, I got down here on the second page of my letter, the town meeting granted funds for this project in 2019 at the town meeting. Was there a sewer moratorium then?
No.
No, there was not.
But, so if we had proceeded and went through all the hoops, but we went through the other hoops first, it would have been like, no problem. But what I'm pointing out to is the fact that 37 gallons a day per unit is,
Yeah, it's about
De minimis.
158 gallons total
But
of the 4 units.
we don't allocate sewer based on usage. So if I was to say there were 4 one-bedroom units, how many gallons is our standard to be allocated?
440 gallons. 440 gallons.
So 110 gallons per one bedroom?
Right.
So this project would be 440 gallons per day.
Well, they're two-bedroom apartments.
No.
No, they're one,
One bedroom?
One
This is just a
bedroom.
one 400-square-foot bungalow, like.
yeah.
And as I pointed out, there's two sinks, one shower, no tub, no outside faucets to decrease the minimum of intake coming in, and there'd be no minimal outside, no washer and dryer. So,
In actuality, with town meeting approval, town meeting is the only authority that supersedes the action of selectmen and ourselves
Right.
as an elected board. And in 2019, did you say?
yeah,
They approved this. I would suggest that it might be reasonable to consider that their vote would supersede our moratorium, since our moratorium was implemented 2 years after the action of town meeting.
yeah.
But that vote was for funding only, no permitting.
Right, right.
So there was nothing to say conservation, or zoning, or planning, or sewer, just CPA funding for the two duplexes.
Right.
So I don't see how that could be considered an
But when they
Irrespective of this,
when they funded the,
Excuse-
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, no,
When
Bob.
they
Go ahead.
funded the project, it was 4 new units, and they were gonna use water, electricity, sewer, and,
what, that was not in the article.
well, that's true, but it was, you can't get the units if you can't.
you
hook
can't
up.
have one without the other. You can't split them. You can't split the baby. You're approving if the construction of it, the funding of the construction of it, so therefore they go forward with the construction.
No, because you still have to have all the permits for the construction. This was just to fund it, not to construct it.
Indeed, but the town meeting has authorized them to go forward with all those applications.
I'm going to disagree with you, because I can't see town meeting saying you don't need conservation, you don't need zoning, you don't need planning, you don't need inspectional services. It just says you have funds.
Right.
But you must get it permitted.
Right, but the fact that they gave us the money, if we needed permits and, there was a moratorium, they said, we'll just table this whole article, because there's no point in doing it, because you can't get hooked up.
Your permits are to assure that what they propose conforms to the zoning and bylaws and regulations that the
Setbacks,
town
yeah.
has on the books. It doesn't mean they cannot build, it only means they must conform to certain regulations.
Plus, the moratorium is not legislative, it's by the board, right? It's imposed by the board, so you have the authority in cases like a minimal use and not much impact to approve exemption or exception to the moratorium rule,
And you can interpret, what was the intent of town meeting?
to put up 4 new units of housing back then. But, due to neglect, negligence, stupidity, corona, and all kinds of other reasons, it didn't get done.
If I recall, the cost was escalating. Inflation hit it right after that.
Yeah,
And you were having difficulty with the amount of money that you had
Right.
available from the state as well as
oh, yeah,
from
because
the town.
costs jumped up, yeah.
Indeed, they did, yes.
Additional gallons.
Flow.
So, any comments?
Well, I kind of have to agree with Sandy, which
Oh, that hurt, didn't it?
I don't very often, as she knows. But
Peter, you want,
Do you happen to have a copy of the moratorium with you?
no.
I do, someplace in here. I'll go looking for it. But it will take a while, so.
Bob, do you want to comment?
Yeah, here, sir.
Does this, in any way, I'm not familiar with it, but does it fall under the zoning where they approve, whether we approve or not? Is it low-income housing? Does it fall under any of that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is a public housing authority, which is in the business of low-income, elderly, disabled vets, and so forth.
And it was approved prior to the moratorium, so everything that had been approved, construction or not, prior to the moratorium, can be constructed.
The only thing that was approved on that town meeting vote, as Sandy pointed out, is the fact that they approved funding. They didn't approve construction, they didn't approve any permits, they
Well, none of-
they approved funding. Now, that's 4 years ago.
They approved funding, but it was
Now, we
pending.
also have an article, so that if you don't use your allocation within a year, it gets yanked.
It gets discussed.
We were using some of
Yep.
it for engineering and legal.
That's, flow, you're not using any of it. You're using dollars. We're talking dollars is one thing, flow for us is another.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking dollars,
Yeah, I'm talking,
Right.
the article I'm talking about.
yeah.
Peter, did you find something?
Yeah, I found something, I hate it. This is the moratorium, Bob. This is why our hands are locked. The recommendation of GHG, the engineering firm, based on their findings, was to not allow any new flow to the system. This means no new building hookups, as well as no additions to existing structures that would increase flow. So, as little as you're talking about, our hands are tied.
Yeah, but that's an opinion from an engineer, and you guys adopted it.
But-
You have the ability to,
But would have to
If we make an exception for you,
unadopt it,
Excuse me.
would have to overrule it.
Excuse me, using as an example, excuse me, Bob, there's 6 duplexes going up on Main and High Street. They're currently under construction. We implemented the moratorium 2 years ago. So therefore, at what point 2 years ago were they in their process? Had they gotten all their permits? Had they gone through any of the meetings that have been mentioned as to Concom or zoning or planning? At what point did they do that? Because this is a simple, similar, I would suggest, they got the approval to build over 2 years ago.
And,
But they had to go through that.
Have they hooked up?
yes.
Yes, they're operational.
So, but
Half of them are.
on March 24th, 2022, sewer commissioners voted 1,760 gallons per day for 108 High Street. Prior to the moratorium, we approved
Prior
them.
to the
Prior to the moratorium.
I have a question.
Yes, Bob.
It's my understanding that the zoning board can approve 40B housing
Without our approval.
without our
That is correct.
approval. Does this apply under that? No, okay,
It's not being built as a 40B project.
okay.
But
but they're
40B
putting
projects
sewage
are
into
allowed.
the system.
And this is low income, which is a 40B project. It could be parallel.
Bob, when is this gonna be built? It's not built now, is it?
No, we're
You're not
all
ready to
staked
hook,
out.
you're not ready to hook up now, are you?
Oh, no, we're all staked out
When is it gonna be built?
this year,
And when do you expect completion of it?
this year.
Now,
What's
come
that-
on.
what's that mean?
Spring, fall, winter. When are the buildings coming?
We got the excavation all ready to go, clear the land and.
In
And
other
these
words, you
are-
haven't done anything
They're
yet.
putting in, they're gonna be 2 modular duplex buildings. each-
In other words, you haven't done anything yet.
No, not build the buildings, no.
Yeah,
You haven't done anything at this point.
No.
So it's gonna probably be October.
Yeah, but they told us we
It
can't.
would
we can't-
probably be October before you would be operational.
Well, they told us we can't start anything
Who's
until we
they?
get this approved.
Who's they?
All the people that we talked to.
Who's they?
They need the permits all approved, step-by-step conservation, planning, zoning in here.
And you can't start all those processes until you have our approval, because we are the overriding factor
So we can't
on
get a
all
permit.
those issues.
Right, we can't get a building permit
Well-
unless we get,
Conservation already approved the project without sewer. So it does not have to be, never mind. Conservation approved the project.
so we could build this thing without sewerage.
No, I'm not saying that. I got the impression that nothing can happen until sewer approves it. I'm telling you, Conservation already approved the project.
Right.
So,
And zoning did too, zoning board of appeals.
Okay, so you've got 2 approvals already, you need a building permit, and what else do you need? Other than this?
That's all.
Okay, so you get your building permit, you can build. All I'm suggesting at this particular point, we have the moratorium in place.
Yeah.
We also have moratorium discussion on our agenda later on. It may or may not still be in effect at the end of the night. It may be modified by the end of the night, but at this particular juncture, I would have to say that, I can't support granting that approval to hook up because the argument isn't really that valid. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't want to see it stopped. But I don't want to put us in a position at this exact moment of making an exception just for you, because now he's going to come in tomorrow with, looking for an exception, because his is only going to be producing, slightly more than yours, but it's minimal, so it's going to be okay.
Difference is we're truly a public housing low.
And we're here for the public as well.
Okay.
And we're supporting the public, and we don't want to put a bigger burden on the public than is already there.
So
So once, we're talking the same thing.
with that, I would ask you to table this and take it up after you get to
Yes.
the agenda. on your
Exactly.
own.
That I would be happy to do.
Just a
most
second.
definitely.
I'll entertain it. Go ahead, Peter.
The moratorium says, until one or more of these options materialize, we have no other option but to institute a moratorium effective immediately and begin a queue for future hookups. So the best we could possibly tell him is he's on the queue. We can't tell him yes, no matter what we say today, no matter what the discussion of the moratorium is. It only puts him on the list. And granted, he's a public housing, it's minimal use, but he's on the queue. He can't jump everybody else.
there's nobody else on the
There's no
queue.
queue.
This will be the first one. There's nothing pending.
No allowances made for keeping a queue.
There's nothing on the queue.
We've had nobody come to us looking for hookup, other than the few one bedrooms that Guy did when one of the projects got removed from our list. But there has been nobody has come before us looking for flow.
So
Other,
he's gonna be number one on the queue.
yeah,
Right.
If you establish a queue.
yes, we will establish a list of those that have asked for, because I heard in a meeting by somebody who's going to put in 24 units at the Everett School that they were told, because we're saving inflow in Swifts Beach, we could very well have flow available. I heard that in a public meeting.
Not
I
from
don't
this
know-
board.
Not from, I didn't say this board.
I know, but I'm
No,
clarifying
Yeah.
for the record.
So somebody
not from
told this
board.
person that there could be some relief in the moratorium once we fix the issue of the sea coming into our pipes at Swiss Beach.
Somebody told me there was still an Easter bunny, too.
Bob, I think the whole issue here, for us, whether we on one side or the other, the cause is admirable, we have no issue with that. The difficulty we have, though, is if we grant your request, we establish a precedent. And when you start doing that, you start going against the original wording of our moratorium. And that is what we're walking on needles about.
I hear you, I do it every day. Laws are made, laws are amended. This is a board who has the authority to implement the moratorium and modify it as they go along. It's in your hands, and that's what I do every day.
Yes, and when it was implemented, it was a yes or no, and no.
Yeah.
There's no more permits granted.
Yeah.
And that was quite clear. I'll entertain a motion to table.
I'll make a motion, we table this.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Bob. It's 500.
I think what Sandy brought up is the perfect example of how things can run away real quick if we don't have a,
Because on top of that, we have 26 units coming into the Everett School. We've got 60 units coming down on Sandwich Road. So there's a lot in the pending, and the Everett School will be affordable, so there's a lot on the plate.
There's nothing,
They've not come here yet.
as chairman, there's nothing on the plate, because I have no information.
No, they've not come here yet. I'm telling you, they're in the works.
We don't know they're in the works.
You may not, I do, and I'm sharing.
Fine.
Yep.
When they get here
Yes,
and they
they
get
know.
on the queue, then
Yep.
we know about it.
Yep.
Until then, we don't.
Okay, so we'll know, okay, planning doesn't, you heard that. We don't care what planning says. We don't know about it yet.
Right. Yes,
Excuse me, a point of information.
Can you come up to the mic, please, Jackie?
Hi, I'm Jackie Hickey, the Executive Director. We are on the Agawam Village and Redwood Park Village are on the 40B list for the town of Wareham. Just point of information.
You're on the SHI list.
Yes, we
The
are.
subsidized housing list, yes.
So,
could you send me a copy of that, please?
absolutely, yeah,
I would appreciate it.
no problem.
Every piece of information is helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one more piece of information is just so everybody understands, our average water cost is between 16 and 18,000 a year, and we pay 78,000 to the sewer commission, to the sewer department of the town of Wareham. I'm just wanting you to also understand that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jackie, hang on a second. Does that mean that they would fall under 40B and wouldn't need our approval?
They would have to be classified as a 40B by the planning department,
Is that the case?
I thought,
We just went and got regular permits. We didn't pursue that. I mean, at the time when we planned this, you know, I was new
Yep.
and didn't understand that this was we should have come to you first. Live and learn. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is GHD, and we have a change order. Change order number 4 for West Construction. Hank, could you explain that? What it is? What is West Construction doing for us?
So, Mark Drainville with GHD. West Construction was the low bidder on the Phase 1 construction project. That project essentially consists of two major items. One is a covered equalization tank. The purpose of that was for most of the raw wastewater to go in there and have a place where the town could manage the odors more effectively than having the big open tanks. So that was one component of it. The other component was to add additional denitrification filters because the existing filters didn't meet current standards. So those are the two main components of that project.
And what point is that project currently at?
It's nearly done. So it started, it was designed in 2020. I think it started in 2021. Actually, I have it right here. June of 2021 is when the construction contract started. And the contractor's been given a couple of extensions because they've had difficulty getting materials, just supply chain issues. We expect them to finish by the end of this month. But the town has beneficial use of the facilities right now, and it's really just spare parts, I think, and paperwork that are left.
Any questions?
Was this the email, one of the emails we received from you?
Pardon?
Chair, is this one of the,
No,
we had I thought we had an email regarding a change order for WES that came in the email.
There may be 3 or 4 others, so there's other change orders here. We had originally, excuse me, the October 12th, we approved a change order number 4, which was lessening or reducing the amount by $6,295. I put it on the agenda because I was unaware of what West Construction was doing since I came on board, and I was looking for an explanation, especially since we had reduced the cost of the project. The next one I have is a change order number 3 for GHD. The change order is to extend the completion date to 3/29/24. This is for the engineering and oversight of the improvements at the main plan, inclusive of overseeing the West Construction Agreement.
Do we have any paperwork? I mean, we have a change order form that you put in the email, where the total project right now is just over $9 million. Right?
I don't have the accounting.
That's correct, according to my $9,133,173.
173. That was the email that Bernie sent us. It says a change order form. Change order number 4, which was a credit of $8,000.
Well, that's-
Time extension of 186 days. A lump reduction of, so I'm very confused when I got this,
okay, this is a change order for the change order number 4.
which was a total sum
which is what?
negative.
Excuse me a moment. I'll conduct a discussion if you don't mind. The change order we have that I'm addressing is change order number 3.
Oh, okay. Change order 4 was a reduction of
There are other change orders also. Let's cover
6,295.
one at a time,
So
please.
number 3, and what was number 3 for?
We- Due to COVID-19 and other issues, contract expiration will be extended to March 29th, 2024. The contract in its entirety is to remain the same, and this is a no-cost change order. It's just a change to extend the completion date to March 29. May I have a motion, please,
I'm trying to
to
find,
accept the change order?
Is that the one that's on the agenda
Yes, I believe
that
it
we're
is.
addressing?
this
And
says
Alex?
Phase 1. It doesn't say
Oh,
change
my
order,
apologies.
doesn't
It
say
is not on the
change order.
agenda.
That's what I thought.
Okay, my apologies.
So change order 3 was an extension of time only?
Yes,
I thought we already
We
approved
already
that.
did that.
I thought we had already approved that.
We have.
We did.
Yes,
Did.
That's 3.
That's
that's
gone.
3.
We're on
Okay.
4.
That was no additional cost. It was just a
Right.
time extension.
Okay, we're discussing 4.
Well, that's not what I'm hearing.
Well, no, that's another hearing.
okay, oh,
Want my hearing aids?
Well, that's not, I mean, that's not what's being discussed.
okay, moving on.
No, can you,
Part C.
sewer business number B, Phase 1. What is this change order that we are being discussing that we seem to be passing over? I'm confused as to what change order that is for.
Mark?
So change order
No,
4,
okay, my confusion apparently.
Because change order 4 was approved some time ago for a negative $6,295. I thought we approved change 4.
We did. We did.
Okay, moving on then, if you don't mind. My apologies, the amount of paperwork I get sometimes is not in order. Let's see, Mark, the update on the clarifier and headworks, please. That would be C.
Yep.
On our agenda.
Yep, so we have 3 remaining items. Actually, last time I was here, we have the same 3 remaining items, and they're all expected to be completed this month. So we have a state review of the documents. It's a permit where the local office reviews the documents. They've indicated to us that they would expect to complete their review this month. We have a planning board here. I think it's a hearing scheduled for the stormwater permit. That's currently scheduled for, I think, the 3rd week of January. And we have a final item, which is a disadvantaged business enterprise requirement for the contract. We have to have it as part of our contract. The contractor has to have it as part of their contract. Our piece went into the state for approval. We're waiting to hear back from them. So we're in a waiting pattern right now, but we're expecting all of these items to be addressed this month. And the plan is to get permission to advertise by March 1st, which we're still on track for that.
Any questions from the board? No? And I'm going to take E because I just wanted to do it in order, so Mark wouldn't have to be constantly jumping up and down. And the CWMP.
Yep, so we discussed some draft results at the end of the year with our group, focus group, whatever you want to call it, from the Sewer Commission. They asked us a few questions about remote facilities that we hope to be able to address next week at our meeting. What I would like to do is to come back before this board and give a similar kind of presentation so you could see where things stand. So we would like to just talk about remote facilities first, and then we could talk about scheduling that discussion meeting with this board, commission, sorry.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? The next, we'll just back up to
Thanks, Mark.
item D. Discussing warrant, the LLC. Thank you, Mark. There is 3 requests on invoice 1. Right here, right sequence. Is for $48,611.50.
Did we get a copy of that at all?
Nope.
Awful tough to approve things we don't see ahead of time.
I scan these things in and send them out. No one received it, no one has it, any?
All I have is an invoice requisition number 3 dated 12/31/23. It's the only one I received.
Okay. Then
No,
we'll
it
move
was-
on.
But we
We'll
really,
sorry. Bring them up next meeting.
but I need to talk about this one.
Very good.
There was a $225,000 change order that I don't remember seeing or approving, and the project is now over $3 million. How do we pay the $75,000 over what was permitted for our loan?
We have invoices totaling $2,532,201.76. If there's an overage on the documents you're looking at, we have not been billed as such, and that is not our, excuse me, what we're requesting, or what I thought was
Well-
being requested.
I can see the amount due to date is the $2.5 million. My concern is this change order that we've never seen,
I haven't seen it either, Sandy.
but it's on this document yet you passed out to us.
I didn't get it.
Original, yeah, original contract amount, 2.8 million, change order, 224,000, adjusted contract price, $3,074,803.
Well, I have to apologize, I don't have any information such as that.
Okay, you sent this out. I have.
I understand, I did.
Okay, so,
And I don't have an explanation for it, Sandy.
okay,
Paperwork is missing all over the place, I'm sorry.
So what do we do
And we're
with
dealing
the-
with some people who unfortunately are doing their best they can.
so are there any invoices? So we have discussed Danny Warren LLC invoices. What are we discussing? Things we don't have.
I'm looking for the typical paperwork that we see.
So we must have been paying invoices, right?
Is this the invoice documents? These are not what I see usually.
You asking me?
I'm asking for someone who may
I don't see the invoices to approve them every week, so I don't know what they look
But
like.
when we vote on them, you should have an invoice in your hand.
I
A
haven't.
copy of one.
I haven't seen invoices in a packet in a long time. I mean, I don't approve the invoices. Somebody, I thought you did.
I signed the weekly warrant,
Yes.
but these invoices are for articles of action that we took through town meeting.
Okay, so,
Those invoices we would see, because the monies, we're in care and custody of the monies that are paying them.
so we've paid nothing for this project.
At this point in time, we paid nothing. Yes,
If I could, we met with Danny and Derek this week, Monday, and I believe the word was that some funds had been released to Danny. He had been waiting on them, so he could also pay his subcontractor. So I believe that went directly through the town and Derek.
yeah, I have no knowledge of that. I mean, not suggest anything on your part. But this is another issue. I know Derek and Danny and the like all have an agreement on what's going on. Unfortunately, it doesn't get past us, and where the money comes from, we don't know now,
Well-
in that sense, because the money was appropriated.
To be borrowed, so this has to be something out of accounting and treasurer.
My apologies. Anyway, let's keep on going. Article F is the illicit server connection amnesty program. Sent
Did you
that
look?
out.
It went on for pages.
Beg your pardon?
It was pages.
Yeah. There was a long, lengthy explanation of the project, or the, excuse me,
What do they want to
the
do?
program.
What do you want to do with it?
Well, I was making us aware of it because of regarding I&I. And it was a program in which they were recovering I&I by causing these individuals, let's say, I'll start from the beginning. Homeowner has a sump pump.
Was this
They're subject-
town of Framingham?
Burlington.
Burlington.
Burlington. Homeowner has a sump pump. It's illegal, subject to fines. They're offering this program, an amnesty program, in which they can admit to having a sump pump and putting themselves in on a list by which if a developer wants to build and needs an allocation of gallons, they can go to that list and, in an agreement with the homeowner, connect or disconnect the sump pump and reconnect it to the stormwater system appropriately.
Which is
as in-
illegal.
And that's nothing to do with us, that's maintenance. And they in turn, the sump pump and now pumps to the stormwater drain versus our system.
Which is illegal in the state of Massachusetts.
Beg your pardon?
You cannot discharge sump pumps into stormwater drains in the state of Massachusetts, so
I'm giving you the explanation of what the program is, and so they must very well,
It's
Change something, I
DEP.
might-
It's a DEP program. So the DEP is given the amnesty. My
from
problem.
this, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't read it all the way through, I got tired.
Oh, just a second. That's DEP. EPA says what you just cited, that you can't hook a sump pump up. You can't pump fresh water into a sewer system.
It's not going into the sewer system, though.
Excuse me?
It's going into the storm drain system.
We don't have a storm drain system. We have no control over the storm drain system. It's got nothing to do with us. In Burlington, they're connected to the MWRA, so they are combined. In other words,
no, the storm drain is separate. It doesn't go to the Deer Island.
it certainly does.
They're-
They have one system.
I mean, the water that comes down the street into the storm drain goes out to Deer Island?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
A lot of
I have a
towns,
different understanding.
They have one system, and it's the MWRA that Burlington dumps into.
I
It's not
disagree,
like they're dumping into the Charles River themselves.
because Quincy was fined enormously, because down at the waterfront, I can't remember that area, that whole section was overflowing, and the sewer systems were going into the ocean.
Down the
And
shipyard.
they had to take the system and separate it.
The reason Burlington did this is because they pay
The
a
MWRA.
fee to the MWRA. It's apples and oranges. It's got nothing to do with us. I cannot see how we can have a moratorium. And I can't imagine anybody who's got a sump pump that's gonna come in and tell us that they do.
Well, I spoke to Megan Cavalier. She's the assistant town engineer up there. And she said that Weston and Sampson inspected by camera, and they would find a house that had a sump pump. They would notify the homeowner that they suspected that they had a sump pump and that there was a $10,000 fine if one was found, and they had this amnesty program in place, and they had great cooperation from the people to have their homes checked for a sump pump and handle it. Apparently, it's illegal, maybe just in Burlington, I don't know if it's Burlington or the state, but it's illegal to sell a home with an illicit sump pump connection, so people were pretty agreeable to it. And
Okay, but, so, the sump pump was connected to the sewer system,
Yes,
and now it's connected to the storm drain system?
correct, yeah.
See, it's got nothing to do with us.
That's fine. I'm not advocating these things. They come up before,
you know,
on my desk, and I look at them, and I give them out to you people to make your own
Do
decisions,
we
make your
have
own
any
comments.
control over the storm drain system?
Yes.
We do?
And not the sewer department, no, but the
Board of
municipal
Health.
maintenance does.
Oh, and
Who?
Menard does.
Municipal maintenance installed them and services them.
Does this board have any control over it? Thank you. So it's just nothing to do with us.
Well, the only thing they were doing is they were transferring the sump pumps over to municipal maintenance responsibility. That's all. Okay, the Buzzards Bay latest coalition on the nitrogen. Any comments?
I never, did you send it out? I don't remember seeing it. I'm sorry, Bernie, I don't have
I'm
it.
sorry, I'm frustrated with myself that you're not,
I do have the 11/29/23 letter, but I don't have the Buzzards Bay nitrogen report. I've got this one, but I've never seen the Buzzards Bay nitrogen report. It's not in our packet, nor have I seen it. So I don't know how to discuss it.
okay, I understand. Then the next one on H is Bourne. Bourne is contemplating expanding into the area in which, under the terms of our contract with them, they're allowed to do so. That would be the campgrounds primarily. Any comment?
I did get that letter. I did receive it. How can we handle it?
Beg your pardon?
How can we handle the 8,900 gallons per day that they're requesting to be fed to us?
Is that within the contract?
I have no idea.
Yes,
I don't
it
have a
is.
copy of the contract.
It is within
The
the
contract
contract.
said
It's in
we-
the IMA?
It's in the IMA.
So that's part,
Yeah.
so we said we would
which has
do the
already been- which
scenic
is-
park.
Which has already been
Yeah.
factored into the moratorium.
The moratorium said, let me think, 100,000 gallons per day.
Is what they're using.
Well, that was what
And
we put in.
200,000 is what they're allocated. And they've had that allocation for a number of years. So this isn't new. So that's within their allocation
The
allowance.
200,000.
Yes.
So of the 200,000, how much are they using?
100.
100,
A little over 100.
110,
So
maybe.
this 10,000 that they want for the scenic park is within,
Well within it.
now, somewhere down the line, I'm sorry, but new bridge comes in, that scenic park goes away.
So,
That's there.
Just,
whoopee.
Yeah.
You know what
Okay.
I picked up on this? Did you read the whole thing, the letter?
I read the letter, I read the pictures.
On page 2, the sewer commissioners have not yet addressed payments, one being the entire town pays $7 million. The entire town, not just the sewer users.
I didn't get a page 2.
Oh, that's from the Cape Cod Times?
Well, just that when we went looking for the 36, we couldn't get the whole town to help pay us for it. It all got dumped on the enterprise fund.
I don't know that the whole town is paying down there. I know what
They are, but they're asking for the town to do
Excuse me
it.
now.
They're
You're
asking.
reading,
Yeah.
you're reading from the Cape Cod Times.
Yeah, they're
You're not
asking.
reading a document from Bourne.
No.
No, they're not paying it.
It's just a point of information. The sewer commission in Bourne is trying to get the entire town to pay their $7 million, their part of the $36 million, something we couldn't get our town to do.
Well,
I don't think Bourne's going to do it either.
I don't either.
Point
Well-
of information, I live in the town of Wareham,
Yes.
and they do that.
Beg your pardon?
What?
We do that. We pay our sewer fee, like kind of
Yeah.
working people do on our tax bill.
Jackie, you're going to have to come up because I'm going to get a noise in my ears saying we can't hear her.
I'm a resident of the town of Bourne,
Where do you live in the town of Bourne?
Buzzards Bay.
Where?
Main
yeah,
Street,
Oh, but,
Main
okay,
Street,
so
Buzzards Bay.
so you're on Sewerage.
I am on sewer.
So you're not on the other side of Bourne?
No, I am not. And
So-
there are, the town of Bourne did go to town meeting, and the town of Bourne pays that $7 million. There's a portion of our tax bill that every town person pays.
Do you fund
Now,
your
just a
sewer
second.
department
And we
through an
pay our
enterprise fund?
own, we pay our own sewer fee, like the sewer users in Wareham do.
Right.
Oh, are you running it as a enterprise fund?
I'm not sure.
But what was the seven?
That's an issue.
Whatever, there is, when I spoke to the town manager, because I wanted to know, like, you know, like, because in Wareham, the sewer users pay all the sewer fees. But in the town of Bourne, he said, no, and they broke down the funding, and some of it goes to it's in the town tax bill.
Then I would suggest you're not operating as an enterprise fund.
Are you
Probably
sure that your information's up to date, Jackie? I'd love it to be.
No, it is.
Well,
Because
this
not only
was-
did our rate go up, sewer rate go up last year, but our taxes went up, and when they
Well,
gave you the
this was
breakdown.
written on the 3rd, and the sewer commissioners have not yet addressed payment options.
No, I think you're talking about a completed project that's out by the police station.
Yes, but the whole town paid for
But the
that.
whole town pays for that
That's-
existing project, not the pending one.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably are going to do the same
The
thing.
town meeting made the determination of how the sewer department is funded. For us, it's enterprise 100%.
Correct.
I've had other, I used to live in Stoughton, and we subsidize off the tax base as well as
Yes.
running it as an enterprise fund.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, how it's funded, I think, is different than how we currently are funding.
All right. Sorry. Just was
Jackie,
trying
that-
to.
I thank you very much.
They
though.
are going to probably bring that also
I think-
funding.
I think that funding that you're talking about only applies to their,
Only apply, I'm sorry.
only applies to the Bourne plant that they put in.
Right, but the whole
at the-
town paid for it.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's independent of us,
Absolutely.
you know, except,
Absolutely.
it's, let me rephrase that, it's independent of us until they have a problem and then they ship it here.
Correct.
You don't have to be so agreeable. Thank you.
That's about the way it works. So I thought,
Yeah, town meeting, our town meeting stipulated how we pay for it.
Our town sucks.
okay, bingo, bingo.
Okay, another, we have coming up is the annual town meeting, special town meeting within the annual town meeting, and budget and revenue will be coming up from us in the context of Scott and Derek will have to sit down and develop an operating budget. And we in turn, if there is anything we want to have done per se, may have to put a article on the special or the annual, depending on how quickly Scott may need the money. Special being able to expend within 30 days of dissolution, and the annual waiting till July 1.
The deadline,
If you're, the one thing that comes to mind perhaps is the filters of the blowers.
That, yeah. But he and I talked, yep.
Yeah, how you want to pay for it.
Right.
I know you have
Check
some
will
monies
do.
in your budget with that rent, and you want lease to own. But if you have something that you need that's extra, that would have to go on as a warrant, it's something we would have to vote on.
if it is a capital expenditure,
Yes.
I don't think we have any funds available for borrowing.
I don't think we do, but.
No, but
in
if
the
it,
interim, next month, something could come
yeah,
up.
if you have something in your enterprise account that is a capital, it has to go on a budget, it has to go on an article.
Yes.
Annual budget, annual articles are due late February. Articles for special spring are due late March. So we're running out of time if there is to be an article for capital expenditure.
Okay.
Now, we discussed this before. Jimmy and I have been discussing this, and we were wondering, and I also discussed it with Scott, are we currently entering an area where we could consider possibly lifting or making exceptions to the moratorium? And I would suggest we start thinking back what we've already done to the plant to create a scenario or a situation where we could accommodate some of the issues that we created the moratorium, i.e., we had an excessive flow and weren't able to cope with it, or we had to exceed our permit. Could be, so we could find ourselves by going through lining of the mains and all, and recovering monies from the leakage we've had down on Swift's Beach. We had significant problems down there. That could recover gallons that are accountable on a consistent basis. But I think, though, if we were to do that, we would have to do so under certain strict guidelines. Because we also have, under the old CMWP from 2002, 12 areas were required in, by town meeting to sewer, and we only did 11. There was other reasons why we didn't do 12 of them. But I'm thinking we have to lay out our priorities and things that we're obligated to do before we start implementing any relaxation of the moratorium. So I think we should start considering that and start tracking certain issues so that we find out that we actually have a window.
Well,
You said that there's areas that we're obligated to do. Do we have an idea what the flow from that area would be?
I'm sure we could, I mean, everything's on the computer now, and we could go back and determine what the previous flows were and the current flows based on what,
Well, no, that's not what I'm asking.
okay.
You said that we're under obligation to sewer some more areas.
Agawam Beach.
Do we have any idea what sewering Agawam Beach would amount to in gallons?
We would have to go through that investigation,
Well,
as
we'd have
well
to
as go
know
with the Board of Health.
if in fact Scott says we have gallons available, and we have to sewer Agawam Beach, then we have to take those gallons before we can do anything else with the moratorium. So,
Very possibly, yes.
so there's two unknowns. Well, without,
I think we also have to research why it was not done.
Legal,
okay,
they fought it.
They fought it because all the
Really?
tests show that they did not have a contamination going into Onset Bay from the Agawam Beach
particular-
area.
If you remember that particular thing, that was supposed to be a three-part package.
Yes.
Only in the wisdom of the powers that were at the time,
the
We
select
decided-
board was the,
Yes, the
they
selectmen.
broke it down into three.
Yep.
Because cost doesn't matter, convinced them to do it that way. Parkwood was the first one.
Oakdale.
Parkwood was the first one, and they had the lowest cost. Oakdale and Agawam was supposed to be next. Agawam fought it, got it stopped. Oakdale fought the betterment because the betterment was
Way higher than
$6
Parkwood.
grand higher
than Parkwood.
than Parkwood. The original proposal was that you do all three and you've got one rate. Well, that didn't happen, obviously. Oakdale fought it, and they got their betterment reduced. So Agawam is still out there. We've got a moratorium as well. We have the potential, only potential now, that's not definite and guaranteed any way, shape, or form, but we've got the potential to be picking up gallonage from the Swiss Beach project. Depending on what, if any, we pick up that improves the flows, reduces what we're doing at the present time, we could potentially have some gallonage available to selectively lift the moratorium in areas. To keep the gallonage aside that you'd need for Agawam, I don't know what that gallonage would amount to, but I'm sure that gallonage would amount to more than what 5 or 6 houses would come in looking for some apartment complexes. So we come down to the question on what do we do? Do we find out we have additional gallonage available to allow that project to go on, or somebody else's project to go on? Or do we keep that aside until we build up enough to do an Agawam Beach? And then, are you gonna get the Agawam Beach done? Is it gonna get accepted? We can say we're gonna do it, but if you get into a court battle on that thing, that's another story. And I don't particularly want to get into that.
Plus, we have that study that was done saying, if you want to increase the flow to Agawam, we recommend you sewer a piece of property that was not considered at the first page, being the old drive-in area. I don't know what else, what is it called? I don't know what
I have
it's
no
called now.
idea what
It's
it's
where the
called.
drive-in used to be,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
south of Route 20.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yep. But if GHD gave us an engineering study, recommended the moratorium, I believe they're the ones that should tell us whether or not we could have any relief to the moratorium, not us 5.
Well,
I
but
believe we
then
need
I
an
think
engineering
when we get that-
component.
When we get that information,
Yes, we
then
need,
then we can decide what we're gonna do.
Once we have
Until
some-
then, it's a waste of time talking about it.
yes.
You just took 10 minutes to say what I said in 2.
No, but you're better at it than I
We
am.
need to know if we're obligated, and then we need to know what we're obligated in gallons. We don't have either one of those figures, so I don't see this discussion continuing at all.
Can I ask a question, not to continue?
Go right ahead.
Please.
I don't know your area as well as I should, but Agawam Beach, that's in the Little Harbor area, where they're doing a study for
It's
a
on-
package plant.
No,
No, it's
Not
not
the
as
same
far
area?
as Little
It's
Harbor.
before
It's
it.
that direction.
You go by it on the way down to Little Harbor, it's on the left.
I'm wondering if it looks close enough to me, to the golf course and everything there, that you would actually sewer it backwards and go groundwater discharge with that.
If the first conception was to go under the water and connect to the plant, because this place sits out in Onset Bay, so it's not too far from the plant.
It was gonna,
from the
it was
water.
gonna go
the
underwater
water.
over to Hines.
Yes, because that
And
was the
then,
closest.
then continue on to the plant. And as I recall, there's 57 homes out there. So would you take a rough idea of what gallons would be required?
Sure.
He's counting 57 times.
I think there's 57 homes.
And
Look, we assume they're all 3-bedroom houses?
yeah, I would say,
There's,
half of them
probably-
summer and half of them are year-round.
there's a couple of McMansions, but for the most part, yeah, 2 and 3 bedrooms.
Less than 20,000 gallons?
So, I mean, if you said 2.5
Call it
bedrooms per...
20,000, that's on the high side, if you call it 20,000.
How much?
57, call it 330 a house.
And some of them are camps. So,
So what are we saying roughly gallons?
20,000 gallons.
2,500?
20,000.
20,000.
20,000. So if we get the I&I study back from Swiss Beach and we've saved 20,000, then all we can say, if we're obligated to sewer Agawam, is we're back to 0. We can't give anything out. Is that right?
Possibly. But it's an issue. We've done this for 2 years. The town's been shut down. We've done significant changes to the plant that allows us to
I
accommodate.
understand.
As an example, when we had the storm, we had 3 million gallons come in. We wouldn't have been able to process that had we not had the lagoons. We were able to cope with large influxes.
I understand all of that, but I guess it really comes down to, are we obligated to do Agawam before we can lift the moratorium?
I would suggest yes and no. In the initial adoption of the CWMP, it had a list of areas to be sewered. That, from my point of view, is an obligation. We also have a contractual obligation that is absolutely ridiculous, but we still have that obligation. So these issues have to be addressed if you consider lifting the moratorium. But at what point in time do you want to start considering these issues to lift the moratorium? We've been here 2 years. You want to wait 2 more years? You want to try and do something now and say there's a possibility so this community can start growing again?
I'd love to lift the moratorium, but the question comes right back to you. Are we obligated not to lift it because we have to do Agawam Beach?
No, no,
Okay, fine, then we have some flexibility in the moratorium.
indeed. This is the board.
That's all I asked in the beginning.
Yep, it was the board's decision to do so. It is the board's decision to adjust their original decision.
How did the plant do with all this heavy rain we just got through?
Fantastic.
No problems.
Did the lagoons help?
They did. We were using them
Brand new one?
effectively.
What
For
is the
every day after that storm, that day, we took in 3 million gallons, December 18th.
3 million.
We took in 3 million, twice the capacity of the plant. The plant didn't sneeze. It saw exactly 1 million gallons a day, every day, because we actually increased the flow through it by exactly what we wanted to.
Now-
For the next 7 days, we emptied the lagoons.
Are the lagoons empty now?
They are filled up. We just had another storm the other day. One is filled up, and it will be half empty tomorrow.
We've got this heavy stuff due coming in Saturday. Are the lagoons going to be in shape to handle it?
Yes.
Then I think we have some very big flexibility on the moratorium.
So,
Because we have the potential.
again, I was told when I got here, and you might be able to help me out here, the moratorium was put in place pending the completion of the projects that Mark just got an extension for. So,
Well, I
we-
don't think
where
that
we've
was the
got
way they
lagoons in
presented it to
place,
us, but.
we have on-site, almost 2 million gallons of excess storage that we can meter through in a day, or over time. So the upgrades that were completed, the additional D-night filters, and the lagoons have allowed the flexibility of the plant to handle higher flows. What does that mean for the capacity of the plant? You still have to stay under your permit. You don't want to hit the 80% mark for more than 60 days in a row, but, or else you have to do a whole different study.
Well, Scott, the CWMP is that study.
Right.
So you're in a much different, you're in a better position than you were 3 or so years ago. You were nearing 80% capacity, and the permit requires, when you hit 80%, to have a plan going forward, and you didn't have that plan. Now I think the flows are managed, but you have an opportunity to manage them better, and you are in the process of having a plan. So you're in a different place right now. What I'd like to add too is that you also have committed flows right, there are committed flows that the town has. I'm not prepared to talk about all of them right now, but that's something that, you should be aware of and we should talk about. So we can take another look at this and talk about what's changed, and yes.
But the committed flows you speak of, they've already been figured in.
They were considered when the moratorium would put in, saying,
Correct.
if this
They were all
committed
included.
flows were done,
Yep.
you're at your max, so no more than the committed flow.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're covered.
So, yeah, sorry, I'm not quite prepared to talk about all the details here. Let us take another look at this, and we can talk about what's changed and is there an opportunity to allow more flow in. So as you started out requesting, we could do that.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Would
That
you
would make
like my
sense.
list of approved from GHD and other building?
He's got the list, it's out of his book.
No, that's,
No, that one's out of his book, I bet.
no, that includes the date we approved, which his book did not do.
No, that's right. I got my copies out of your books.
So these are developments that you've approved and they're just
Prior to the
They're
moratorium.
included prior to the moratorium.
prior to the moratorium, so they can connect.
Yes.
Okay, okay. all right.
Now,
so-
in it, it has GHD next to it, which means it came out of your book.
Okay, okay,
Then others were added to it.
okay. Yep.
So I now need another copy. I gave him my master.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, would you entertain a motion to change the moratorium or amend the moratorium to allow, say, as somebody on the queue is brought forward, at the member's discretion, it could be approved?
No.
No.
I won't allow that, because there's no documentation that says we have the ability to do so.
So it would need GHD to come back with another study to tell us what type of flexibility we might have in our moratorium based on the changes that have been done to the plant.
Well, we pretty much just got them from Scott.
There's nothing on paper. It's a nice conversation we had, and that's about it. It'll appear in our minutes, but there's no documentation that says what Scott is correct, what we assume is correct.
But GHD gave us this, I want GHD to relieve it.
Agreed.
So we will revisit that. We'll coordinate with Scott.
Will you have it done in the next 10 minutes?
Sorry, no.
Okay, end of discussion. I think we've created enough interest and the potential. One item we have to do before we close out, and I know we haven't had the superintendent's report, but
What's this OSD Narrows?
that, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, we have not been involved in the bidding process or any of that issue. I have a note that says they had two bidders. One was very low, one was reasonable, and I think they've awarded it. But as I said, I haven't been involved in it, unfortunately, and I think I was asking Jimmy to be involved in the Narrows, and hasn't been able to talk to anyone or meet with anyone.
I thought there was something online that showed that.
There were two bids that came in. One came in at 7 million, the other came in at 5.9, so about 6 million. There's $1 million difference between the two of them. The guy that's working, I can never remember his name, that's doing the work at Swift Beach right now for Danny.
Grenice.
Grenice, thank you. He came in high. The other company came in $1 million lower. Well-respected, as a matter of fact, Janice has said they're a good company, they do good work.
But I thought OSD recommended we approve.
That's who they recommended. They were the low bidder.
So the email we received from Bernie indicates that the notice of award, December 23rd, 2023, Town of Wareham to GVC Construction Company. That's my understanding, based on the document we received in the email, that this has been awarded for $5,956,200.
Awarded?
Awarded. The contract price of the awarded contract is $5,956,275.
How can it be awarded if we haven't approved it?
I don't know.
I believe it's a recommendation to award.
The contract of the
Yes.
awarded, I think it says past tense ED.
So once you approve it, that's the letter that goes out to GVC. So in other words, OSD is writing the board to make a recommendation to award the
Right.
project to GVC.
Oh, I misread it. I thought it was a done
Upon
deal.
your review, that's the letter that's going to accompany the package to GVC from OSD upon your approval.
Here.
So
That's correct.
For you to sign if you choose to accept our recommendation. Hidden in it, that there, thank you.
anytime.
I was looking at another page.
So we're not approving it at this point?
The idea would be that you would approve his recommendation, and upon your approval, he will send the award letter out on our behalf. to
Unfortunately, our
GVC.
agenda says discuss only. It doesn't say discuss an award or vote.
No, no, the discussion's fine.
I mean,
Is there any insurance in there?
did you get a copy? I need to,
Is there a bond?
I'm
It will
looking.
be.
Did
It'll have to
anybody
be.
else print it or just me?
Just you. Just
Just you. You've got more paper than the rest of us. More ink.
I believe there was a bond involved.
Yes, there would be. Derek's not going to sign any contract without a bond involved.
Right.
There better be a bond.
And OSD vetted them to make sure their bond was good.
Yeah.
I have no qualms with them recommending the contract and everything else, but let's face it, that particular pipeline's like the aorta of our whole system. You know, that
Good
we need a
analogy.
bond for God knows what could happen.
Good analogy.
Yeah, and we're what, $50,000 shy of our approved $6 million?
Yeah, and,
So heaven forbid we get a change order, how are we going to
well,
pay
if we
for it?
wait any longer,
Bake sale.
they'll eat it up.
Bake sale.
Bake sale. I do good fudge. Okay.
Do you need any approval on that tonight?
I think it would be helpful because they're trying to get everything in line so they can start the project in March and be done by May.
I'd
Because
make
they're
a-
gonna mess up that
Okay.
intersection pretty bad.
I
We
make a-
jump to Article 8, which is unanticipated items received in the last 48 hours, and that will fit.
We got it well before 48 hours. I have enough, so, unfortunately, the
Now,
word
but
discuss
The date on
is...
this is not the date I received it, you know, because I don't generate that date.
December 15th is the day that Mr. Sullivan got the note from OSD.
We didn't. Did we? I don't.
I'll
We
find
did.
out,
15th?
I'll find out when we got it.
I thought today was the 11th.
It is.
This is December 15th. Derek got it,
Had that for a month?
Derek got it December 15th.
24?
23, nice try.
22, a year ago.
But we could take a vote on it as long as we indicate on our next set of agenda that we're going to ratify the vote.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I make a motion, we accept the proposal.
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded. On the condition we
What's the
ratify. it,
motion?
On the, that we accept
the OSD proposal.
The OSD
OSD's
recommendation.
recommendation,
To go with that particular contractor.
and we vote approval.
Ratify it next time.
We
GVC,
vote approval on the condition that we ratify that vote at the next meeting. Make a note, Jimmy.
So we'll have the contract at the next meeting?
you have the contract now. Bernie mailed it to us. What we're doing is voting on this now with a firm, with a
Conditional ratify.
ratify it at the next meeting, because it will then be on the agenda. That gets so confusing. So
Further discussion? There being none, as a roll call, please. Jimmy?
Jim Gibberti, aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Bernie's aye. Sandy?
Aye.
500.
And as a point of clarification, Bernie mailed this to us January 8th. Called the Award Recommendation Package for Narrows Pump Station Force Main Rehabilitation Project. That was a mouthful. So we got it on the 8th of January.
We did?
We did. Bernie got it on the 7th. He forwarded it to us on the 8th. Scott got it on the 5th and sent it to Bernie at that time. Should I go on?
We did something right.
Yeah,
The start.
doesn't say anything about a bond in there.
It's fun.
Okay, on superintendent's report.
Well, we gave you some of it. The system, again, on the 18th, received twice its daily flow, handled it wonderfully. Just yesterday, we received another probably 1 million extra, and again, the system handled it great. The team down at the plant continues to work together, and we're cleaning things up day by day. And today, we moved some tanks with some pretty fun teamwork and some trucks, and that was fun. We got some tanks cleaned out, so we should be getting rid of 2 of those standby Adler tanks, which will save us some money monthly. And again, we're just continuing to clean and perform maintenance, much needed maintenance.
What is your average flow, daily flow?
Typically in the winter, on a regular day, it's around 850,000.
Beg your pardon?
In the wintertime, on a regular day, it's somewhere around 850 to 900,000 gallons. In the summer, it goes closer to 1 million. Plus
So
minus
we're around 1
100,000.
million on average, you might say. That's excellent, considering where our permit is.
And we worked with the company that supplies our camera in our camera truck, and they got a little bit of rehab on the camera. We're going to be getting that repaired next Friday. But that crew, their mission is going to be to go out and find more infiltration and fix it as we go. No more just documenting it and leaving it. We're going to go right after it.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, and the last,
I would like to
yes,
comment. There was an article, I believe, in Wareham Week. Scott, well done. I really did enjoy reading it and how you are focusing on the people. That's very important. I appreciate your focus on them and bringing the plant up to speed. Anybody else see that article, or just me in Wareham Week?
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Scott's doing a great job.
yep.
Thank you.
I went down to get an autograph for it,
Appreciate it.
but
Thank you. Yeah. Anytime, yeah.
Yeah.
It's $5 though, each. I don't want to graph it.
Does that go into the general fund or the
It will.
coffee fund?
That's right. Probably coffee, maybe pizza.
Construction of
Are you gonna paint the tower so that you get Ho Chi Minh on it?
Maybe, yeah.
we've already got them off the Southeast Expressway.
But that's one of the items that actually, once we do the upgrades, that'll go away.
Did you find the bond?
Nothing amount.
that's-
Not the fund.
that's-
You just have to ask.
Just a heads up, I said it once, and I know you haven't formally get it. You will be hearing from somebody regarding the Everett School being expanded to 24 to 26 units. We need to talk about Sandwich Row being converted from into a 60-unit affordable housing unit versus, what was it, daycare? No, what were they going to do?
It was going to be daycare, now it's gonna be affordable housing.
Yes, it was a rehab facility or nursing home of some kind, and now he's gone from 90 of those units to 60 affordable units.
Yes,
He
but
needs
we
to come
already
before.
approved him.
I know, but I want to make sure that the gallons we approved are adequate for for the change in use.
yes, because he has changed since the
Yes,
approval.
yes, so what was done before, Mark, you have my list. There's one that talked about Sandwich Road, assisted living, near the top. How many gallons?
Sandwich Road Assisted Living, it's 10,140.
Ouch.
And now it's 62 units?
Now it's 60 units. What was the old approval, over 10K?
10,140.
So 60 two-bedroom units.
60, I can't remember the breakout between 1 or 2-bedroom units, but right now, he just says 60 affordable units. He has to come before us to give us what has happened. Just a heads up, it's coming. Heads up, Everett School is coming. Okay.
Okay, on
so
another
that
item,
10,000, that's a lot. Okay.
you didn't see the motion of the director of the facility. Piece of cake, no problem. Another item, unanticipated. Scott needs approval of the Wareham Water Pollution Facility denitrifying wood chip bioreactor field trial.
I thought we said, okay, go do what you want.
Is this the short form of agreement between owner and engineer for professional services?
That is correct.
Yes.
We also got that in the mail.
Scott?
Yep.
I have a question on that. It indicates owner in there. Are we the owner of this, and are we the ones responsible for costs?
We were,
Way
you guys, the town owns the property. The town was awarded a grant to do this study.
Okay, the town is getting a grant to do this, and so the town, not the sewer department, would be responsible for any costs associated with this? Is that?
Interesting. That's interesting. I think it actually would end up falling on the sewer department.
Yes.
So then we're going to get the grant?
Correct.
Okay, then any of the expenses that would occur will come out of this grant to pay for this. So this isn't going to be a cost to the department.
They go directly to the grant to receive their payment.
Okay, so we don't, all we do is provide the land space.
Correct, and I believe what they're doing is the agreement allows them to go receive the funds from the grant to pay for their services.
Yes, we don't get
Okay, so we're not involved,
No.
other than providing the space on the property.
And some of our secondary water, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And electricity.
I was a little unclear when I read
And
that.
this is going to denitrify?
Yeah, they've done an extensive study on the site already where they trickled our secondary water through columns of wood chips at different times. I actually read the study, it was pretty good. And they determining the time that it takes to actually break down the nitrate through the wood chip column. So now the question is, applying this in real life and putting water through it. So they're gonna put it in the area of our lined landfill on site and recapture the water to put it back in the plant after it's already been treated.
Now, will this make our outfall less nitrogen?
It will not do anything to our outfall currently. This is a study, a sidebar. So in the end, they're taking some of our secondary effluent, treating it, and then just putting it back at the headworks.
So we process it again.
It's just water, it just flows through.
Just, but, so,
So there's no.
Well, what's the end purpose?
The end purpose would be to see, okay, if we wanted to utilize a similar technology on our effluent for the outfall, because their study showed that they could get the nitrogen down to non-detectable levels.
Okay, that's what I was
So
getting at.
now,
So if we got our nitrogen down, could we increase our outfall?
that would be the,
That'd
that would be the theoretical
All right, that's
endpoint.
kind of what I was getting at, all
but
right.
I'm sure glad we
Effectively-
got piles of wood chips.
We do have a lot.
We have a lot, yes.
Well, that-
Surplus, one would say.
And they're easy to come by.
I know,
Now, if they
we-
get that all cleaned out like that, is it, we're gonna bottle that water and sell it?
Absolutely. We're going to use it in beer making, yeah.
Good deal.
As long as you don't put it in a plastic bottle.
See, now, what you gotta do is you gotta go to the cranberry growers, and you gotta get them to put this in the outfall side of their bogs.
That is actually part of this study, to see
So that
if
the
they could
nitrogen
accept
that
it.
they release doesn't ever get downstream.
That was the idea of how big a
I'm
wood chip
serious.
area you would
Good,
need.
I know you are. I chuckle because yes, that's a good possibility. And this is the next level of the testing. That-
But this is the first place it's being tested. I mean, we had a small sample and it looked good. Now they want a big scale,
Yes.
fully, but they're not doing this anyplace else in the country, right? Is this their test site
I
for?
believe they've tested it other places under
Okay.
different conditions, but they
Okay.
want to see this work in a overall outside environment, not in a laboratory type setting.
Yep. Or a small test pit? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the next level of testing that they have to go through.
So then, so if this works, then instead of being Poland Spring, will be Wareham Wave?
That's right.
But the document indicates that Mr. Sullivan has to sign this.
Yeah. He's the ultimate of everything.
Yes, so.
May I have a motion to approve, please?
Yes.
Yes,
Motion's made and seconded. Any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
Only that it has to be ratified at the next meeting.
Sign that, Bob.
Don't make a sigh, but it has to be ratified at the next meeting because it's not on the agenda.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's under,
Show it.
it's under unanticipated items. But it still has to be officiated, made official. Okay, now, number 9, the next meeting date and time, January 25th, 6:30, room 320, and Vice Chair Jim Gilberti will be conducting that meeting. I will be out of town. Jim has also arranged to conduct a informational meeting on swift speech. Would that be here in this room, Jim, or are you going to Zoom it?
It'll be here and be Zoom
That's on the 20th?
on the 20th,
20th, yep, at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Say that again, 120?
120 at 1 o'clock, room
1
320,
o'clock, room 320.
48 Marion Road.
Danny said there was a lot of problems down there. Steel beams were never found at,
Huge, huge
Yeah,
steel
this
beams.
is all the
Yeah, we have
stuff that was
video
left
on
from the
all
old
of that.
contract.
that absolutely can't find on any plane, any
Nope.
plans, any
Nope.
place.
You ought to see the size of the timber that he took
Oh,
out.
he told me a big piece of
16 by 16.
white pine, whatever it was, just, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Dan-
done it.
Danny just said I couldn't do anything. I kept hitting this and kept hitting this and did this, and
Mm-hmm.
the ocean came in, and
He was warned.
I think we had a motion and
I
a
ma-
second.
What?
I thought we had didn't we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
No.
Yes, well,
We just
I make a
hadn't
motion,
voted.
we adjourn?
We took
Seconded.
this vote.
Sandy made a motion to adjourn, I second it.
They're not with us.
Any further discussion?
Come on, Sandy, get with it.
All those in favor say
Slow it
aye.
down.
Aye.
Opposed?
8:08.
808.